אני מקשר, לכל הצדיקים האמיתיים שלנו, לכל הצדיקים האמיתיים שוכני עפר. קדושים אשר בארץ המה בכלל רבנו הקדוש צדיק יסוד עולם נחמן נובע מקור חוכמה. רבנו נחמן פגן הצלוחה נחמן אומן זכותו תגן עלינו ועל כל ישראל אמן. I put you lesson 8 of Likutei Moharan. Okay, that's what we're going to do on Likutei Arachot. We started it last week. Baruch Hashem. How Rabbi Natan connects lesson 8 of Likutei Moharan to Likutei Arachot on Chanukah. He's going to connect how lesson 8 has all the secrets of Chanukah, according to the lesson he's about to give. But there's a few little small introductions that we need before. We talked about earlier the main subject of lesson 8. Rabbi Nachman introduces the concept by saying that when a person sighs, he takes in a double ruach, or he takes in a ruach, essentially a ruach hayim, a spirit of life, which essentially helps him complete that which he's lacking. Hey, yo, good to see you, bro. So sorry. No, you're good, bro. You good, Achi? God bless you, bro. Essentially, we're just doing the intro for what we talked about at the beginning of last class. That Rabbanu explains in lesson 8 that the inyan is like this. Rabbanu says, look what he says here. I'll read it for you in the words. Look at the preciousness of the noha and the genuche, the sighs and the groans of a Jew, for they complete that which is lacking. Now, we explained earlier that when a person sighs, it's because he's missing something. When you sigh over something, it's because you're missing something. You feel that you're lacking in some area. For example, you're going to sigh over the fact that you have no health. It's because you're sick or whatever it is. You're not feeling well because you're missing a proper head. You know what I mean? You have a headache, so you want to be healed from your headache. All these other things, all these other categories, whatever it is. Wherever a person's lacking something, a person sighs. You want peace, you sigh because you have so much trouble at work, this, that. Rabbanu says when you sigh, though, you complete that which you're lacking in. So, Rabbanu says, understand let's make the distinction here. There's a sign to Shan, there's a sign to Ma. Because you're going to draw your Ruach Chaim, your spirit of life, when you're breathing in that sigh, essentially you're drawing in a Ruach Chaim, a spirit of life, which is going to help you complete that which you're lacking. So when you sigh over something Kodesh, over something holy, you're going to draw your Ruach Chaim, from which Rabbanu says is the Tzadik, the Rav Shebador. For he has all the Ruach. From 4 spirits come all Ruach. It says, Ish Asher Ruach Elokim bo. We say by Yosef Tzadik that he's the man who has Ruach Elokim within him. Yosef the Tzadik, he has the Ruach. And he distributes the Ruach. Essentially, what Rashi says, he's able to pass the spirit to each and every person according to wherever each and every person stands. The Tzadik distributes the Ruach. So, we see that Tzadik distributes the Ruach. But, if God forbid a person sighs in Tumah, he receives his Ruach to complete the lack from the Rav of the Klipa. That's where it says in the Parasha, a couple weeks ago we read back, that Esav, when he meets Yaakov, after years and years and years after Yaakov was with Lavan, what did Esav say? Yesh li Rav. I have a Rav. But it means I have a lot. But Rabbanu says Yesh li Rav, meaning Esav has a Rav. Who's his Rav? The Rav of the Klipa.
What does it mean to sigh for Tumah?
So, for example, you want to fill a certain desire in an evil place that's against the Torah. You want to get angry, so you sigh.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, exactly. When you want to fulfill something that you cannot do, but it's in Tumah, you draw your Ruach Chaim from the Rav of Esav, the Rav of the Klipa, to help you fill that which is Tameh. So imagine what we're saying here.
So what can you control that sigh?
Of course, don't sigh in that place.
What if the sigh is something that is making you like, okay, I'm not going to do it, but like, you know what I mean?
The problem is, it's like, okay, to say is one thing. But to actually commit the sigh, because the sigh has such a koach, because you're drawing in ruach. Like, look, if I want to sigh, right? You take in a breath first, because in order to let something out, you're taking in an extended ruach.
Right.
Because you're about to let something out much longer, so you take in something much bigger. Now, the ruach you're taking in, the Rabbanu is explaining a huge chidush right now.
I see.
What is it? Where you're getting a ruach chaim. That's actually what Rabbanu says, your vitality. That is your spirit of life, your chiyut. Look what he says. Through the neshima, shehua ruach chaim, through the neshima, which is the ruach chaim.
What's ruach again?
The ruach spirit, but the spirit of life. It's your spirit of vitality.
I see.
The ruach is your spirit of life. Nivra olam, the world was created through that ruach. Everything is created through the same ruach which you're taking in when you sigh. So now Rabbeinu is saying, when you sigh, you are essentially using the same force which Hashem created the world with. But now imagine, that force has tremendous koach, either for Kedusha or Tumah, depending on where you want to lead it, direct it. So, Uvruach Piv Kotzvam, with the spirit of Hashem's mouth, He created all the hosts, all the angels, everything. The Chidush Alam Yegam Ken Bifchinat HaRuach. And Rabbeinu says also, when you renew the world, in the end of time, this will also take place through the same Ruach. And it says, Tishalach Ruchacha Yibareun Chadesh B'nei Adama. Send your Ruach Yibareun, and they will be created. Utchadesh B'nei Adama, and you'll renew the face of the earth. So you see here, the Chidush of the world takes place through the Ruach of Hashem. So now we understand that the chiyut, the vitality of a person, who neshima is the breath, right? You cannot live without breathing. Your breath is your vitality. So imagine when you're taking in that ruach, which is an extended breath, it is your essential vitality, your primary vitality, where you're getting that strength from. So now we understand this. Now we understand what Rabbeinu is teaching us. The anacha or arichat neshima, but the sigh Rabbeinu teaches us is arichat neshima, the extended breath. You're taking in a huge amount of air. This represents what we call erech hapayim. What is erech hapayim? Patience. One of the midot of Hashem. You know, there's 13 midot of rachamim, the 13 midot of mercy that God has. Hashem, kel, rachum, v'chanun. Erech hapayim. He's what? Slow to anger. That means he has patience. What's erech hapayim though? Erech hapayim means ma'arich ruche, extended ruach. Meaning what? That sigh. So look at the koach here we're talking about. When you're sighing in, you're manifesting the midah of erech hapayim of Hashem, patience. So imagine if you do that to want to do something evil, which is actually a lack of patience. It's the exact opposite. Right. So now Rabbeinu was saying you're going to complete exactly what you lack. So if you want to sigh over something tameh, God forbid, you can enter that place and immediately fulfill your desire. We have such a superpower here when you sigh for Kedusha. Like, you hear like. You see a lot of breast severs in Uman. It's a common thing. You go to the Tziyun, all you hear is oy, oy. In the Amidah, you hear it. In Rosh Hashanah, you hear this. People are coming, oy. They go like that. Why? Because they're trying to draw in the Ruach Hayim, the Tzadik, who's right in front of them, to help them perform mitzvot, avodat Hashem, to help them do ibodedut, to help them fulfill the advice that I'm dying to do. That's the koach of the Ruach Hayim, and it all draws from the Tzadik. The Tzadik Emet is the single nekuda, he's the point from which everything spreads. So now we understand a little bit more. Everyone who's attached to the Tzadik, especially those who are really attached to him, who apply the advice, they have more ruach. Meaning they have more vitality. They have more ruach, they have more life.
So that sigh is even stronger.
Yes, exactly. It has more koach, for sure. So look what he says now. But there are Reshaim that are not attached to the Tzadik, and they receive their ruach chaim from the Rav of the Klipa. Now the opposite, Rav. But one who wants to, now Rabbeinu says, one who wants to stand and fight against the Reshaim can only do so if he's a Tzadik Gamor. This is part of the lesson. He's giving summary. Not giving piece by piece summary. If you want to fight against the Reshaim, like we talked about earlier, like if a person wants to provoke a Rasha, to fight against him and subdue this Koach, you can only do so if you're a Tzadik Gamor, a complete Tzadik. Meaning one shifrish hatom minara, one who's separated good from evil entirely. Meaning he is so removed from evil, he is not even afraid of committing a sin. It's so it's like, I don't even know how many people you can count on your finger today like that. There's very high level tzaddikim that are at this level. Rabbeinu was certainly there, and he was provoking the Hashem at this level, provoking the Satan. As Rabbeinu teaches us in lesson 8 of volume 2, the tzaddik stands in the throat of the Satan to retrieve all the sparks which he swallowed up.
Are you doing prayer? Like, that's how he's provoking them?
Very
Or
nice.
like physically?
Through spiritual work here.
Okay.
It's not a physical fight.
I don't know, maybe like he has them like enough organization to actually like gather people to like fight certain, I don't know. I'm sure they do that today.
They do it on everything that happens on the physical front is all
because of their prayers.
It's all, yes, exactly. It's all how do you say that? Microcosm of what's happening on the spiritual front.
Right.
That's what a very high level of tefillah is.
I understand.
See what I'm saying? Everything that's happening on the physical realm is only a symbol, and it's only
it's a reflection.
It's a reflection.
Yeah.
That's the word. It's a reflection of what's happening on the spiritual realm. Meaning, there was a tzaddik, Rabba Bar Chana, who was at the level, Rabbeinu says in lesson 15, I forget which lesson, there's a lesson, which Rabbeinu says, 16, it could be somewhere there, that a person should ideally only pray in the spiritual end. Because when he prays in the spiritual end and only prays beruchaniyut, Hashem, help me do avodat Hashem, help me repair my eyes, help me do this and this and this. Exactly, the physical and the gashmut. Everything in this ruchani, imagine going to the shoresh of something and repairing the root of something, everything else is fixed.
And then when you fix that spiritual, I guess,
exactly.
fault, then you get material benefits as well.
Spot on. Everything. Exactly.
But I guess those material benefits like dissolve over time if you're praying so much for those spiritual things.
Totally. You begin that's what Rabbeinu is saying, the koach. Exactly. Meaning like what? If you're praying only in the spiritual end, you're gonna see that all the physical is slowly gonna start being repaired. You won't need as much as you thought in eating. You won't need as much in clothing. You won't need as much in honor, in beauty, in this and that. You're gonna start getting rid of all the things that are vanity. Right. And not only that, the things that you do need, like a nice table for Shabbat, that's gonna happen automatically because you're praying on the spiritual and to repair the shoresh of Shabbat. You know what I mean? Whatever Rabbeinu might say that shoresh is. But for example, like let's give an example. Hashem Yitbarach, I beg of you to draw me close to the true Tzadik. This is the ultimate tefillah, right? It's the ultimate tefillah. Hashem Yitbarach, give me the koach to draw close to the true Tzadik. Help me apply the advice of the true Tzadik so I can draw close to you, right? This is the main thing. Yeah, good to see you, bro. So we're just doing an intro on summary lesson 8, connection to Chanukah. But we're talking about lesson 8 about the extended ruach when a person sighs, how he completes that which he's lacking, like we studied. But now we're talking about on the idea, Joe entered a nice topic about the spiritual and the physical end of things. Like when you pray for something spiritual, how automatically the spiritual tefillah repairs the physical. Which is why Rabbeinu advises us to put all our emphasis on spiritual tefillah. Now, it doesn't mean that we should not pray for things that are physical. Rabbi Natan came to Rabbeinu once, and Sichot Haran, he brings it down, he was missing a button on a coat. And he came to Rabbeinu, and the button was bothering him. Rabbeinu said, you didn't pray to fix the button? He said, what do you mean I'm going to pray to fix the button? It's a button on a coat. He said, and what, Hashem is too big for that problem too?
There's also a story about the students who didn't pray for the refuah of Rabbeinu, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that
and
too.
Rabbeinu told them like, what, you didn't pray for my refuah, and he passed away, right?
Totally. He said for his son specifically also, for Shlomo of Chaim, when Shlomo of Chaim, Rabbeinu's son, was born, he got sick in the first couple months, and Rabbeinu sent a letter. Rabbeinu was out of town. He sent a letter to all the students saying to pray for my son, pray for my son, pray for my son. Or he could have been out of town for his wife. He told all the students to pray for his wife, who was very sick. Rabbeinu was in Lemberg for Shavuot, and he was sending out letters beforehand. He was traveling for a couple of months. He sent this letter to all the students saying, pray for my wife, and she died on Erev Shavuot. She passed away on Erev Shavuot. And Rabbi Natan writes, and in Chanukah he said it was because of our tefillot that we did not manage to heal her. Because they were tzadikim, that they understood the responsibility of their tefillot. What Rabbeinu says, if we understood that Hashem Yitbarach was above us listening to all our tefillot, we would not stop praying, because we would know that Hashem Yitbarach is listening to every word. The only problem is, we don't have emunah that Hashem is listening to every word. That He's shomea tefillat kol peh, that He's listening to the tefillah of every single mouth. Because if we understood every single letter, like Rabbeinu teaches us in lesson 2, was an arrow that shoots in the heart of the Satan, we'd be praying all day. Hashem Yitbarach. You'd be speaking to Hashem all day. You wouldn't be able to speak to anyone because you're going to be so much in conversation with Hashem. So, what we were talking about earlier, getting back to the idea, when you pray in the spiritual end of things, for example, Hashem Yitbarach, help me have refuat nefesh, healing of the soul, like what Rabbeinu teaches us in like lesson 70 something, I forget, that to heal a person's soul, you have to elevate it to its shoresh, to its source. When you pray to heal your soul, you're preparing automatically to heal the body also. Because the soul is the shoresh of the body. So the body automatically is healed too. Hashem Yitbarach, help me guard my eyes. Help me guard my eyes. So everything that has to do with the eyes, for example, the sicknesses that come with the eyes, you repair automatically also. So everything works in a matter of shoresh, where the ikar is. When you put your emphasis on the shoresh of things, for example, like the root of a tree, as long as the roots are intact and everything is good with the roots, they're healthy, the tree is going to grow to be a beautiful tree. But if you try to just focus on one branch, that's nice. You're going to fix the coat, but are you going to fix your tavot? Are you going to get to the root of where you stand in your nature of your body? who you are as a person. So, like Joe, you were saying, the main thing is to focus on the spiritual end of the thing, the ruchaniyut, and that's the tzaddik. The tzaddik is essentially, he's filtering out that this stupidity within each and every one of us, because we all have that foolishness that's constantly trying to be fixed. The Torah is announcing to us every day, when will you fools stop loving your stupidity, your foolishness? How long will you fools continue falling in your petty, your foolishness? So the Torah is constantly doing this. So Rabbeinu says that we have to rebuke ourselves, because it's constantly telling us, where are you standing? But when you would pray on the spiritual end, everything on the physical end is prepared, and you slowly start to see that you slowly remove yourself from this world. That's why the main focus is like, pray for the things on the Avodat Hashem end. If you have time to pray, really put your emphasis on not just praying for something small that you can fix in half a second, like a new car, this, that. That requires a 10-second tefillah. Be'emet, it really does. Now, yes, if it's important for Avodat Hashem, the more tefillot it requires, the more important and fundamental it is to the Jew. For example, to pray to overcome Pgam Abrit, to pray to be Mamash Shomer Abrit, and to be Kadosh in your machshava, to be holy in your thoughts, not to think immoral thoughts, sexual thoughts, things like this, that requires years of tefillot. To pray for a new iPhone, that might require 5-10 minutes of tefillah, because it's not as important. Now, the more a person's in Gashmiut, the more important it is to him, so the more it might require. But you slowly start to see, the more you repair on the spiritual end, the less you need on the physical end. So, Hashem Yitbarach, help me break my tabat achila. When you start doing this, you'll see that Hashem Yitbarach, slowly, as long as you continue pressing the nail, Hashem Yitbarach is going to slowly take away your desire to eat. Hashem, help me break my desire for sleep, so that you can wake up chatzot. Hashem is going to slowly start to give you a better sleep schedule, this, that. It takes time, it takes crying, it takes tefillah, but the matter is just to knock at the door continuously until God opens up, because that's all Hashem wants to see. How persistent we are. To be akshan, or Rabbeinu says, to be stubborn-necked, to be mamash, I don't care. Like the man in The Lost Princess, the viceroy of the king, continue moving, even if the giant tells you to stop, the giants being the people that you fear the most in this world, the people that you have the most influence, do not listen. Continue going. Because each and every person's on his own journey, and if he's going to be sidetracked from the individual who's not even on his path, who's trying to prevent him from going to the Emet, you're never going to go anywhere. Everyone has to go on their own derech. Everyone. And you cannot listen to anyone. Like Rabbeinu says in the introduction, look what he says here. Echad haya Avraham. Avraham was one. Why was he one? Because Avraham acted as if he was the only one in the world. That there was no one else. Only him. Meaning what? Do not be discouraged by someone else because they do more than you. Where am I in the world? This, that. Or because they're telling me to go against this, that I should listen to them. Avraham served Hashem Yitbarach only on the condition that he was one, or the fact that he was one. What does that mean? That he felt in his mind as if he was only one person in the world, and it was him. And look at the beauty. We mentioned the Zohar 100 times. Literally, so many times I mentioned the Zohar. I'm just reading it today, it's crazy. Be'avraham, actually, Likutei Moharan, lesson 2. Look at these, Tinyana, literally today, I was just reading it. What did he say here? Be'avraham, Behi Bare'ah. That the entire world was created through Avraham. Avraham, if you take the letters of Be'avraham, Ele toldot shamayim ve'haaretz behi bara'am. These are the how do you say that? Toldot shamayim ve'haaretz. You could say offspring, but these are the chronological events of the heavens and the earth. Behi bara'am, when they were created. That's what it says in Bereshit. Behi bara'am, brought down in the Midrash, the Zohar, the Gemara. Behi bara'am, Avraham is the same letters of Be'avraham. Avraham. Meaning what? These are the chronologies of the descent of the heavens and the earth through Avraham. Meaning the world was created in the merit of Avraham. But now we see what Rabbeinu is saying. That what? Why in the merit of Avraham? Because Avraham was only one in the world. Every time he did Avodat Hashem, it was only him. Didn't pay attention to anyone. Not his father and not Terach, who was of the Avodah Zarah. Not his wife, not his this, not his that. He continued moving. Only him. So Rabbeinu says, Kigon avi ve'imo, chotno ve'ishto v'anav. Whether it's your father, your mother, your father-in-law, your wife, your children, if they're preventing you from serving Hashem Yitbarach, move. It's a chidush. Because you'll see that when you repair in the spiritual and you move, all of that was a test to see where you stand. They hold in the same place that you hold in. Your wife is just a reflection of who you are. So all she is there to do is that when she's giving you a hard time and waking up chatzot, it's because you need to reinforce your ratzon and chatzot, your desire for chatzot. She's giving you a hard time because you're not spending enough time in studying Torah, or for example, she's giving you a hard time because what do you call it? Every time you want to study Torah, she asks you with another favor. Like the second you open up the book, you hear across the hall. You hear a call across the hall. Husband, can you take out the trash? All of that is to only increase your ratzon to study Torah. So yes, you're going to do the favor, but you have to understand that where she's testing you is exactly where you need to place more effort in, more tefillah in, more focus in. So you see here where everything stands.
And then the relationship gets better on behalf of you, just following your spiritual desire and path type thing.
It doesn't mean to completely, because she is the role to play here. Meaning what? When she's asking you to do that, you do it, because the shalom bayit is it's very important. It's the ikar. Right. Where you stand with your wife is the ikar of where you stand in your avodat Hashem. You can tell with your relationship with your wife where you stand with your relationship with God. It's the same thing. But it also means that if she's testing you in a certain area in your avodat Hashem, because there's a certain nekuda that you need to refine in that place, that's where Hashem Yitbarach is telling you, put more focus there. You see what I'm saying? All those things. So, going back to the inyan, the Tzadik Gamur, he's the only one who can provoke the Rasha face on. Like we talk about Yaakov Avinu stood with the angel of Esav, his brother in the Zohar, that the angel that came and visited him in the night, that one man wrestled with him throughout the entire night, right? That famous story. That famous angel, that famous person was the Malach of Esav. Now we see here, Yesh li Rav. Yaakov is fighting the Rav face on. Now we understand that Yaakov is able to provoke the Rasha face to face. Why? Because Yaakov was Tzadik Gamur. He completely separated good from evil. When he told Esav, Im Lavan Garti, I lived with Lavan and I still kept 613 mitzvot. We understood from that Yaakov went into the klipa and he survived the klipa. And that's how Esav knew he was in bad hands, because he knew Yaakov already attained that level, that he could fight him straight on. So only the Tzadik Gamur is capable of entering the face of the evil side and staying harmless there. And being not being harmed in that place. Being completely kadosh still. Why? Because he's separated good from evil entirely. He knows exactly which is emet, which is sheker, which is good, which is evil, which is ta'or, which is ta'or. He's made that distinction across the board. So, because of that, he knows how to subdue the Rasha. And now Rabbeinu says, because the reason why only the Tzadik Gamur, this is where we left off, because the reason why the Tzadik Gamur is the only person capable of entering and fighting the Rasha, provoking the Rasha, is why? And by the way, if you guys want to pull it up in Sefaria, I think we, up to you guys. Likutei Halachot, Hilchot Chanukah, Halacha Bet. And Orach Chaim of Shulchan Aruch. So Likutei Halachot, Hilchot Chanukah, Halacha Bet. Second halacha. What does Rabbeinu say? That the reason why the Tzadik Gamur is able to subdue the Rasha, or to provoke the Rasha, is because in order to do it, you have to enter the evil trait from which the Rasha received his strength from. That's where it ties full circle. Remember we talked about at the beginning that the Reshaim received their Ruach Chaim, their spirit of life, from the Rav of the Klipa, the Rav of the evil forces. Because when they sigh, they're now receiving a completion in which they lack. We talked about earlier. But Rabbeinu says, when you're sighing to enter a certain evil trait. We know there's 4 elements, right? Air, earth, fire, water. Air, earth, fire, water are the sources from where all the evil midot stem from. All the evil traits stem from. Air, for example, is arrogance. Everything that's haughty, that has puff. That's why we do not eat chametz on Pesach, because it's lifted. It has air. That's arrogance. Then the none of earth represents depression, gloom. It's dark. It's brown. It's dark. There's nothing there. It's cold.
Fire,
anger.
Yeah.
Then there's water. Is like I think there's tavot. I forget which one. The shirt and tabot. Rabbi Yoshua, good to see you. So.
When he's here, you don't need the light. You can turn it off.
No, man.
It's
Baruch
shining.
Hashem. Rabbi Nachman, Baruch Hashem. Right, kavod. No, Rabbi Shalom. Chanukah Sameach. So, when Rabbi Nachman is saying this inyan, he's teaching us what? The tzaddik needs to enter the midah ra'ah of the rasha from which he's receiving his strength from. If the rasha is going to sigh for a klipa to fulfill a ta'ava chas v'shalom in a certain area, then what's he going to do? He's going to receive his ruach chaim from the rav of the klipa, right? But where is he going to receive that ruach from, that strength from? From the midah in which he desires to go into. So for example, if he desires to get angry, he's going to receive his strength from the element of fire. But that's going to give him strength to commit that anger. And because of that, that's where the rasha receives his koach from. So the tzaddik needs to enter that evil channel, which we call tzino, that evil channel, that pipeline, from which the rasha receives his strength from, to clog up the channel, so that the rasha does not get his vitality. You see what Rabbeinu has to do, the tzaddik has to do? The tzaddik needs to enter the channel, clog up the channel, so he cuts off the vitality of the rasha. How? He goes into the midah ra'ah, he goes into the evil place, from which they receive their strength from, and from there he subdues it.
For the sake of having the bad person to repent? Is that to get them...
Or to complete... No, to...
Bring them back on the path?
It's... When we're talking about bad person and evil, we're talking about a person who mamash receives his strength from the koach of the klipa, meaning it's to knock it down and to shoot it down. There's nothing left.
The person does.
When we're talking about that, it means, yeah, get rid of the evil from within that person to reveal the good, maybe. But when we're talking about the rav of the klipa, to completely remove it. At the end of time, the Yetzer Hara is not going to last. We're going to do shchita on the Yetzer Hara. That's what we're talking about.
It's not dangerous for him to jump in there. Like
That's
the
the
channel.
that is the exact danger. That is the danger. It's a matter of life and death. It's mamash a matter of life and death. And by the way, Rabbeinu gives us a chidush. Not only the tzaddik does it, the chol hanirvim elav. Look at that chidush. All those who are attached to him. Those who are attached to the tzaddik find themselves sometimes in the klipa, and they do not know how they got there. And you know why? Because the tzaddik sent you there, because you need to refine the midah through him. What did it say? It said about Moshe Rabbeinu that when he was fighting the war against Amalek, that Moshe was on top of the mountain with his hands lifted up in the air. And what did it say? Moshe tells Yoshua, go out and fight war against Amalek. Why Yoshua? Because the Talmid is going to do the work down here, but who's really doing the avodah? The tzaddik. The tzaddik sends his Talmid into a filthy place, or a person into a filthy place, one of his Talmidim, one of those who need him, one of those who are on a rope to him, who are attached to him. Mamash, there's a safety vest on. The safety vest is you and your rope, and it's attached to the true tzaddik. And the true tzaddik is the one who's holding you there, who's making sure nothing detrimental happens to you. But mamash, you're attached to him. The tzaddik is fighting the war through tefillah and through everything that he needs to do through the kavanot. And he sends a talmid, a certain person that comes from very, very far, to redeem the kedusha from that evil place. And to block up the tzinor, the channel of the rasha. That's why a lot of the time you see a lot of people who come from very far draw close to the true tzaddik. And why is it that the true tzaddik appeals to people who come specifically from very far? And we see why. Because the tzaddik engages his work specifically in Gehenna. The tzaddik's work is in hell. That's simple. It's in the biggest hell. It's in the biggest tavot. It's in the biggest clubs. It's in the biggest this. It's in the biggest that. And you see how the tzaddik is able to transform all of that into kedusha. He conquers that place and he brings it back to the side of kedusha. How? You see a person who's been clubbing all his life, doing tavot, this, that, and he comes to Uman and he starts doing teshuvah and starts doing this and starts doing that. And you ask yourself, how? How is that possible? He opens up a book of Rabbeinu, and through one story, Sipol Masiot, or one line in Likutei Etzot, the guy does teshuvah, and you ask yourself why? Why? Because Rabbeinu decided that he was going to do the work. And because there's a specific tusha in that place that needs to be retrieved, and there's a specific tuma in that place that needs to be subdued. So, that's what Rabbeinu says. And this is what it means when Rabbeinu says this, that the tzaddik enters the tzinor, the channel from which the rasha receives its strength from. So, for example, if you sigh and desire to do an evil tava, for example, in the immoral realm, the realm of immorality, you're going to receive your tava. You're going to receive your strength from that realm, from the rasha, from the midah of that realm. There's different channels. You're going to receive your strength from that channel. But the tzaddik needs to enter that channel and block the shefa for the rasha. Subdue the rasha completely. So what does Rabbeinu say? Look at this chidush. Mashpil reshaim ad ha'aretz. We said this in the verse. It is written in the verse in Tehillim. Mashpil reshaim ad ha'aretz. Hashem subdues the reshaim. He makes fall the reshaim ad ha'aretz, to the earth. What does that mean? He makes it fall to the earth. Mashpil reshaim ad ha'aretz. Mashpil reshaim ad ha'aretz. Rabbeinu said rashi tevot ma'im esh ruach afar. The chidush. Mashpil reshaim ad ha'aretz. You take the first letter of the phrase. It's the first letters which spell out the four elements. Mashpil mem is ma'im. Reshaim resh is ruach. Adeh ain is afar. And aretz is aleph, which is esh. The four elements from which the reshaim receive their midot ra'ot. So now Rabbeinu is saying, now we understand. Mashpil reshaim ad ha'aretz. He subdues the reshaim to the earth. What does that mean? He subdues the reshaim through the first four letters. Ma'im esh ruach afar. He enters those four channels and he clogs it up so that the rasha can obviously receive from it. So now, Rabbeinu says,
just a question. It's worse to side for a sin. Like, I mean, when you want to do something very bad.
Evil.
Yeah, evil, and you side. It's worse to do that or to do the thing.
The thing is the manifestation. And so I'd say it's worse to do the thing, but the side brings you to do the thing. When you cannot complete something, the side is what actually helps you get there. So
it gives you more strength to do the
exactly.
the thing.
It completes it. If you're lacking in a certain quality, certain amount of strength to do something evil, the second you side, you fill up that empty space that you did not have. So now that you filled up that space, now you have 100% conviction that you're gonna go do it.
Okay.
And why? Because you're getting a ruach, a mamash ruach, that enters you from the klipa, that's helping you do that thing. You cannot feel it. You mamash, it enters you and it helps you do it.
How do you stop yourself from sighing? What if it's just a thought and then it leads to a sigh? I know maybe from the root you stop the thought by guarding your eyes, doing this, working your greed, whatever it is, but like, how do you stop yourself from sighing? It's such a natural thing.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
You're right. If you find yourself doing it, chas v'shalom, best piece of advice is do it in the opposite side of kedusha.
Okay.
Meaning, you find yourself doing chas v'shalom aside for something evil, do the sign in kedusha on the opposite realm and try to counteract it.
So start praying automatically to stop that action.
Yeah, because you received an extra strength to commit the act. So pray to Hashem Yitbarach not to do it, or tell Hashem Yitbarach that I want to do kedusha in the opposite realm. Hashem Yitbarach, let me be a Tzadik in the Brit Kodesh, or Hashem Yitbarach, and you let out sighs like this when you're praying in your Amidah. It's very good to let out sighs in the specific brachot that you want things in. For example, Rabbeinu teaches us, we were talking about earlier on the subject. Rabbi Bar Chana, when he used to pray, Rabbeinu says, this Amora, this great Amora, this great sage from the time of the Gemara, Rabbi Bar Chana used to pray when he used to do the Amidah, when he used to say, Refaenu Hashem, when we say Refaenu Bracha and Amidah, he used to have the kavanah that his Refaenu was for the nefesh, not for the goof. So everything is in a matter of spirituality. You know, everything you can have a kavanah. Bonei Yerushalayim. Yes, I can physically build Yerushalayim, but what does Rabbeinu really mean what does Rabbeinu say about building Yerushalayim? Rabbeinu teaches us that building Yerushalayim comes through building the Yirah Shalem. Yerushalayim is a play on the word Yirah Shalem. Complete fear. Build your Yirah Shamayim. That's how you build Yerushalayim. So everything is a kavanah directed to the pratiyut, to the person. Mishan u'miftach latzadikim, right? Have trust. Mishan u'miftach latzadikim. There's guarantees and there's mishan. The sha'en means to rely on the tzadikim. That the tzadikim mamash, mishan u'miftach latzadikim. That Hashem Yitbarach, you can rely and trust on the tzadikim. But actually, what's the kavanah you can have? Hashem Yitbarach, help me rely on emunat chachamim. Ala tzadikim, ala chasidim. Hashem Yitbarach, I yearn to be a tzadik. Everything is pratiyut to each and every person where you stand. By the way, you can go through every bracha. Ata kadosh Hashemcha kadosh. What's the real kedusha? Rabbeinu teaches us. Kedushat habrit. Rabbi Natan said, a person came to. He was once discussing with one of his students, and He is not a student. There was a person who was not married that came to Rabbi Natan. And Rabbi Natan looked at him and he said, if you tell me you're Kadosh, I won't believe you. But if you tell me you are married and you're Kadosh, I'll believe you. There's no such thing as Kedusha without being married. So now, you can do your Kedusha, you can do your Kavanah now when you do Ata Kadosh. Hashem b'achami be married, for I'm not Kadosh until I'm married. I mean, there's so many ways to make it accessible to you because the Torah is infinite. So, look at the Torah, especially when you go into the teaching of Rabbeinu, how everything is really precise. Like Rabbeinu teaches us how to build Yerushalayim, on this idea of Yiras Shalem, how to safeguard the fear that we talked about. Yerushalayim, Yiras Shalem, complete fear. How do you complete your fear? Rabbeinu says through rectifying the 3 evil midot. Ta'avat mamon, ta'avat achila, ta'avat niyuf. Repair your desire for money, repair your desire for, for food, and repair your sexual desire. When you repair those 3, you repair the heart, which is Yerushalayim. Your heart is Yerushalayim. So everything, mamash, when we pray, now you can sigh over that because you're saying, Hashem Bach, where do I stand in this tavot? But in Yerushalayim, like, oi, right? Where do I stand in the tava for mamon, tava for achila, tava for niyuf? And now you really can sigh because where do we really stand in that place? Make it applicable and practical to you because then you're going to really feel the need to sigh. That's when the sincerity is going to come out. Nathan Uzon, one of the people I listened to on YouTube, was saying that there was a person in Uman who had passed away a couple of years ago who always used to there but used to sigh for hours on end. Nathan Uzon was saying that he remembered it. This man, he remembered the second he went back for Rosh Hashanah, they did not see him. And he felt something was missing in the tune. Because a lot of the time they can get very overwhelming, the sigh from one person to the next. But really when it's not there, you recognize what's missing. Because once the person sighs, it's going to wake you up to sigh. You're going to see how it's all just one generality, one person's helping another and this and that. The sigh is huge. It's really the thing that allows you to get to Kedusha. So continuing on this subject, Mashpil Rashayim Ad Haaretz, Rashi Tevot, Esh, Ruach, Mayim, Afar, which are the 4 elements. That from there all the evil traits stem from, as we discussed earlier. And Rabbeinu said, how do you separate good from evil? How do you become a Tzadik Gamur? Tefillah. Through prayer. Through prayer, you separate good from evil. And look at how Rabbeinu explains over there. גם שמענו מפיו הקדוש שאפילו כשמקרבים וקושרים לצדיק כזה, לנו צדיק גמור יכולים גם כן לעמוד כנגד השם ולקבל עליהם. רבי נתן adds, look at this. I also heard from his holy mouth that even one who's drawn close and who's attached to the tzaddik at this level, who can provoke the Rashaim, meaning this tzaddik gamur, he too can stand against the Rashaim and provoke the Rashaim. So now it's a chidush. It's no longer just a tzaddik I met who can do this. It's his students too, and those who are attached to his advice, who can provoke the Rashaim face on. So now we enter Chanukah. V'zeh bechinat Chanukah. This is Chanukah. Eric, you want to read?
No.
Read. Go.
No.
Go. Read. You have it open. Go. Everybody get involved, bro.
No.
You don't want to do it? Cobb, you want to read? Okay, go. וזה בחינת חנוכה.
וזה בחינת חנוכה, כי בחנוכה צריכים לעמוד כנגד רשעים הרוצים לבנו ובטל מעבודת השם. So as for the Chanukah, you need to stand against the Rishayim and the ones that want to let me know what to subdue and to batel you from the votes of Hashem. Ki mashe na'ase u'shiyase haynu k'moshe az bismanei Chanukah amda leinu malchus yavan Rishayim shechinu taraso u'vereinu chas v'shalom. Because what happens happens.
What happened will happen.
Will happen.
Meaning just like in that time, when the Nes of Chanukah,
they're trying to batel.
They tried to stand up to make us forget our Torah, to prevent us from doing the mitzvot of Hashem Yitbarach. Kmo chen.
And now in the time of this, of Chanukah, we stand against them. We stand against the Yavan Rasha, like evil kingdom or whatever, that wants us to forget Torah from within us or whatever. This happens every generation. Essentially, that in the days of Chanukah, we need to stand against the Malchus Arsha, like this evil kingdom that strengthens itself in every generation. These are Rishayim that stand against us, that want to battle us. We need to strengthen and stand opposing them. We have shared Lamot Kanab Im Aide Koach Tzadik.
And that's where it is. That's the entire Kavanah, Rabbi Nathan saying. We talked about everything about how a person can subdue the Rasha, right? The entire Kavanah of this idea was that the person's Ruach Chaim and gives him the ability to do something in Kedusha. And we talked about the sign, the power of sign. The Reshaim use their power of sign to do evil. Now Rabbeinu says, when you attach yourself to the Tzadik, or the Tzadik who's at this level, Tzadik Gamur, complete Tzadik, who's separated good from evil, now he can provoke the Reshaim face on. To subdue the evil kingship of the Reshaim. To subdue their evil. To prevent them from going to reaching other holy people. Because that's what they're trying to do. Trying to make everyone else fall. The Yetzer Hara is going to try to make you fall into doing this because your friend's going to go do that. You're going to see this person go do that. Oh, maybe I should. Rabbeinu was saying, that's where it stops. Because the Tzadik is going to come in and he's going to prevent the Rasha from receiving his vitality and subdue the Rasha in its face. But now, Rabbi Nathan says, let's turn the circle, now let's flip it back. What's the entire idea of Chanukah? Subduing the Rasha face on. We see this with Chanukah. That the Reshaim stood up, Malchut Yavan HaRasha, the evil Greek kingship, stood up against us to try to prevent us from studying Torah. But we prevailed in the end. And how is that? How did we prevail? Ki im alidei koach HaTzadik, through the strength of that Tzadik we mentioned. Which Tzadik? The Tzadik Gamur. Who's at the level to go into the Klippa and subdue the Rasha from that place. So now Rabbeinu was saying, now it makes sense. It's impossible to stand against them except to the Tzadik. But Rabbi Nathan said earlier that those connected to the Tzadik too can also perform that inya. So that's where we get to this idea. Now Rabbi Nathan is going to explain what the Or of Chanukah is. So now he's going to explain the significance of the candles, the light, the this, the that, all the elements of Chanukah and how it connects to this subject. Okay?
There's the aspect of like the Ner Chanukah, or Mashkazu Imur Tzadik Kitov. But he's explaining that the Tzadik is called an or, a light. Like the pasuk says, Imur Tzadik Kitov. I don't know where that pasuk's from, but
say that the Tzadik Kitov is Yeshaya. The Tzadik is Tov, is good. We saw Moshe Rabbeinu was Tov when he got out, right? So now, what did that mean? What's Tov?
Bein Tov El Or, and we know that Tov means or. Mashkazu Vayar, light. Vayar Elokim Es Or Kitov. Hashem saw light and it was good. He called it good.
So now the light of the Chanukiah, when you light the menorah, what's the light? It's the Tzadik. Now you're giving the strength to the Tzadik. So
he's a Tzadik who Tov Gamor. The Tzadik is he's completely good. He free Shara the Gamar B'Dishar Kulatov. He separates the bad completely, and anything that's like Nishar that's like remaining, Kulatov is good. Baal Kain Nikratov, and therefore he's called the good. The Ainu or Kanal. So he's the aspect of light because he's able to separate the good from bad.
Exactly. Or Zaru ala Tzadik also.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
This is the aspect of Ner Chanukah Shem Mamshich and Koach Tzadik Shnei Or that we draw and we receive the Koach Tzadik and we call it light. The aspect of the candle of Hashem is the neshama of man.
So now that's where it connects. Look at Rabbi Nathan subtly is connecting this entire lesson. Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam. What did we say earlier? This what it brought down in Mishle, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Mishle. Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam. The candle of Hashem is the soul of man. Man's soul is God's candle. Okay? Ner Hashem, the candle of Hashem, which we just explained earlier, the Tzadik, Nishmat Adam, is what? The soul of man. What does that mean, Nishmat Adam? What did we say earlier? The Neshima of an Adam. What's a person's life force of vitality? From his Neshima, from his breath, from his sigh. Which means what? The Ner of Hashem, the candle of Hashem, the Tzadik, Ner Hashem, which we just said is Or, who's Tov. The Tzadik is Tov. Nishmat Adam. Who's the one responsible for the soul of man, for the neshima of a person? The tzaddik. For the tzaddik is the one distributing the ruach.
Is he saying that like sighing is an aspect of nishmat adam?
Exactly.
That means?
Rabbi Nathan not explaining it meforash, but you see here why he uses that verse. He already brought another verse to explain Ner Hashem. He already brought another verse to explain this idea of Ner Chanukah. But when you draw down the koach of the tzaddik, which is the light, which is Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam, now the neshama of a person, which is the soul of a person, which is the vitality of a person, the breath of a person, comes from Ner Hashem. Which is what? Now we understand tzaddik, the or. Validizeh HaKoach.
Validizeh HaKoach, and this is the strength. Dainu idea, or tzaddik shehu b'chinei tov, the or tzaddik is completely good. K'mashkasu v'er l'kim as or kitov. Canals we already said. Al zeh yedeh, al zeh anu yochin amot keneged machas harsha. through this aspect in the Chanukah, we're able to stand against the Malchus Ashara, like the evil kingdom, as we explained earlier. It's impossible to stand against them without applying the aspect of everything is good. You can't stand against like Yavan Rasha, like the evil kingdom, without someone that's cool to, like the Tzadik who's cool to, right? You need to go down within to the evil and to break it into hashpila, with to subdue it or to shatter or something like that. Exactly. It's the aspect of the Ner Chanukah Lamata, has to be below 10 Tvachim.
Exactly. The mitzvah of Chanukah is to light the Chanukiah below 10 Tvachim. That's the 10 handbreadths. Now we understand the sword. By the way, it's brought down in the writing of the Kabbalah, the Arizal, and the Ben Ish Chai brings this down. It's the mitzvah min hamuvcha, the best way to perform the mitzvah of Chanukah is to light it below 10 Tvachim. 10 Tvachim is 10 handbreadths like this. So the length of this times 10, that's the measurement. Now according to the sword, it's best to light it between 7 and 10. So that's the ideal spot to light.
I think it's hard to do that with like pursuing these on tables and stuff.
It's tough.
Unless
So
that's why people do it outside, probably.
yeah, so I was gonna say if there's a lower window, that's probably the best place to do it, facing the street, and to get a low stool or to a low table, and to perform the mitzvah from the low place, because the entire idea of Chanukah is what we just mentioned right now, to subdue the rasha from within the klipa. The klipa is below 10 tefachim. The Shekhinah made a promise, the Divine Presence made a promise never to go down below 10 tefachim. Brought down the Gemara. It says the Olam, forever the Shekhinah has never descended below 10 tefachim. But the Tzadik, who's the extension of the Shekhinah, essentially goes down there to perform this act, to retrieve the Kedusha, to subdue the Rasha from there. To create this Geulah, this redemption from that place. So Chanukah is specifically a time which descends in that low Tumah. Really, it's really one of the only times that can go that low. That's why the mitzvah, it's a light low, and all this stuff. And it says light below 10 tefachim, Birshut HaRabim, in the public area, which according to the writing of the Arizal, is Mekomot HaChitzonim, the places of the evil forces, where all the klipot reside. Reshut HaRabim is another way to say place of evil. But Tefach HaSamuch LePetach, in the Tefach, the handbreadth closest to the doorway. Okay? Now let's see why the doorway. Rabbi Nathan's probably going to bring a verse later. Why Petach? But why the Petach? Petach Chatat Rovetz. La Petach Chatat Rovetz. He's going to bring it later. I'm not going to say it. Kikar.
Right next to the doorway. Kikar Achizas Hasidrach Rahu Lamata Miyud. It's because of the aspect of the strength that is Sidrachra is below the Yud. So
below 10 tefachim.
10 tefachim. Because the Shekhinah doesn't really go down below 10 tefachim.
Exactly. It made a promise. Le'olam Shekhinah. Never. Gemara Sukkah never descended below 10. Below 10 tefachim. Because below 10 tefachim is the second that Klipot really reside. If the Shekhinah goes below there, it has no way out. So now we understand why the Tzadik Gamor is the only person capable of performing this act, because the only way a person can go down there without being harmed is if he's completely removed from evil entirely. Meaning he not only did not have a desire for evil, but even if you were tested in a place where he was private, nobody was there, this, that, and there was a very weird occurrence that would have happened, he wouldn't even be tempted. It's not even a question that would arise in his thought, meaning he's not even afraid of committing a sin. That's the definition of Tzadik Gamor. So.
And this is the Iker of the Olam Asiyah, Shama Achizasum, the place of strength.
That's where they receive their achizah, their grasp, their strength, yeah.
Well, this is Jah Chizah. Also in public space is the aspect as a place for klipos, as explained. And specifically there is where you need to light the Ner Chanukah. Shubachin is always the aspect of light. This is the aspect of Shiori Koch Tzadik, like the Koch Tzadik goes down, the Toch Achizas Russia, like into the grasp of of the grass with a Rashayim, or of evil, I guess, and to subdue it and to break it. And that's how we break it particularly. So like you go down below 10 Tvachim, because that's the aspect of Kul Tov from Tzadik, and that particularly is like how you fight Yavan or Hashem.
Yeah, essentially with your attachment, essentially Rabbi Nathan just explaining that Tzadik is doing this work to go down below 10. That's why we, thank God, we have the ability to be part of the mitzvah, to light the menorah. Because when we light the Chanukah today, by doing it, we now attach ourselves to the or of the Chanukah, which is the Tzadik, to go down to that place. So now we see how important it is to light below 10 Tfachim, because that's where the war is happening, not above 10. So when you do that, like we were saying, the Tzadik goes down into that place, which is where the Klipot have all their parties and all their fun, and that's where the Tzadik is going to go and subdue it and break it, and you know what I mean, cause a disruption.
Therefore, what? It's in the opening, next to the opening?
Yeah, it's like at the tefach, the handbreadth closest to the opening of the door. Do it closest to the opening of the door as possible.
Oh, so the Chanukah should be as close to the door?
Yeah, it should be, if you can find a window or something like that.
So ideally it should be less than 10 above him, next to the door.
Ideally, it should be outside.
That's
Literally,
how you do it. Otherwise, how do you do it?
Huh?
That seems like the only way you could do that.
Yeah. So sometimes you sacrifice on one end or the other.
Yeah.
Now, it brought down in the Rama, that's it's not necessarily that you need to do it outside anymore at the opening, because the main thing of Pirsum and Nisa, you can do it through the window, it's stuff like that. Rama brings it down that there's ways around it, essentially. Ideally, the menorah should be placed opposite the side of the mezuzah, in front of the door. Everybody could see it. But if you can do the Pirsum and Nisa through the window, below 10 Tvachim, and people could see it, that too is very good. So I think the Rama, don't quote me, but I think the Rama says it does not need to be at the entrance anymore. So in our country, we do not, I think so. But I could be wrong, so don't quote me on it. But now Rabbi Nathan is going to explain why la petach, look at the halakha, la petach chatat rovet. He's going to bring the verse that's going to explain la petach, what petach opening means. Why did the mitzvah to light it at the opening of the door? La petach, la petach, closest to the opening. Why the opening? So now Rabbi Nathan's going to explain.
Keep in mind, because what in the front there's no way to enter. What's
Bifnim, meaning the Yetzer Hara cannot go within the Reshut HaYachid. They cannot go in the private property. Meaning what? What do you call it? The Yetzer Hara doesn't have grasp on the what do you call it? The Reshut HaYachid, which means the place of Kedusha, above 10 Tfachim. It cannot go there. It can only go at a certain level. The Yetzer Hara only has a certain amount of koach that's given to it by Hashem. After that, it cannot pass. It cannot move. So that place is called the Reshut HaYachid. At the inside the petach, inside the doorway.
Does that mean like Bifnim, like Pnimiyut?
Bifnim, yeah, Bifnim. It cannot go inside your Pnimiyut. The Yetzer Hara cannot attack you inside. Now you have imagination that allows you to get there. But the Yetzer Hara cannot attack you inside. It can attack you outside, certain things, this, that. Inside, it cannot attack you. So, bifnim. So, meaning what? Now Rabbi Nathan is saying the halakha is to light it outside the entrance. Okay, why? So, by the entrance is where they ambush you to try to sustain and nourish themselves off that kedusha. Because inside the house is where the kedusha resides, right? It's above 10 tefachim. It's in the kedusha realm. Below 10 is where the Tuma realm is. They're standing at the doorway to try to grab into whatever they want. And that's what the verse says in, where is it? In Bereshit. Yeah, Bereshit chapter 4. So continue.
The aspect of by the door, their hate waits.
Yeah, exactly. Sin crouches at the door.
Yeah.
Meaning it's waiting for you at the door to try to get in.
Balkan needs to be Vinu, Lasus Mezuzah, Eitzel Petach V'Darish Klipa. When it's Eitzel Petach Daika, so he's explaining the idea of Mezuzah. The idea of Mezuzah is you put it next to the doorway in order to keep the Klipas out that want to stand against you, essentially.
Yeah, the Klipas are right at the doorway, so
so that's the reason
you put them in. That's what the Zohar and Pasha Chanan says.
Kemu Bezor Kadosh, Balkan, Anu Malikin there, Chanukah, Samach Petach, Lachnim, Lashkorim, and Kom Lachazum. That's why we light the Nair. The Chanukah next to the doorway, where like St. Crouches, like he's explaining, exactly. To the Chmi and Lashkorim, like to subdue and to break their place of strength, essentially.
Exactly. Anyone have any questions? Ideas? Should we continue a little bit? Where do you guys stand? Continue running? Whoever's got to go so can go, whatever it is.
A couple minutes.
Okay. So let's continue for a little bit. Let's go. No pressure, by the way. Anyone want to read?
I'll read something.
You want to read? Yeah, no. Okay.
A couple minutes though.
Okay, perfect, bro. Where are we? Gam Ner Chanukah.
The section is not big, so we don't know.
Gam Ner Chanukah. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone. Halakha bet. Give me a sec. Sorry. Okay, go for it.
גם נר חנוכה מרמז על הרוח חיים של הצדיק, שעל ידי זה מתגברים כנגדם אם הוא צדיקים גמור. צדיק גמור.
So, the Ner Chanukah is hinting to us the Ruach Chaim of the Tzadik. That through this, מתגברים כנגדם אם הוא צדיק גמור. That through this, if the Tzadik, the Ruach Chaim, what do you call it? The Ruach Chaim of the Tzadik, we're able to subdue the Reshaim. If the Ruach Chaim is, of course, from the Koch of the Tzadik Gamor, from the Tzadik, the complete Tzadik, who draws the Ruach to you, and then you're able to perform the act to subdue the Rasha. So the Ner Chanukah is hinting to us of the Ruach Chaim of the Tzadik. So now we can continue.
כי על ידי אריכות הנשימה על ידי זהו קיום השכל, כי השכל הוא בחינת פתלה הדולקת על ידי השנאים שבגוף, ועיקר קיום השמנים שבגוף.
3 more words.
על ידי הנשימה כי
Yeah, we'll stop there. I see a comma right here, I think.
Yeah.
שבגוף על ידי הנשימה. So look what Rabbeinu says now. Through the arichut hanishima, the extended breath which you take in when you sigh, through this, you kiyum hasechel, you sustain your mind, your intellect. The intellect is built through your breath. Rabbeinu is going to explain how. Look at this. Because the intellect is the wick, the wick is only lit through oil. You cannot light a wick if there's no oil there. You put a wick in oil and then you light it with something. The wick can only be lit with the oil. What's the oil? The oils are the fats of the body. Rabbeinu explains this, how scientifically it works, and he goes deep. The oils of the body constantly rise up to the brain, and the brain is the sechel which is lighting up. Now we understand Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam. The candle of man the candle of Hashem is the soul of man. Why candle of Hashem? Because the candle is only lit from the neshama. Where does the neshama reside? In the mind, the brain. The ruach resides in the heart. The nefesh resides in the liver. The neshama resides in the brain. So Ner Hashem, the candle of Hashem, Nishmat Adam, is the neshama of man. Where is the neshama? In the brain. The brain, which is the sechel, which is the wick, is lit through what? The fats and the oils of the body. So now we understand how it works. That the fats and the oils of the body are the ones that provide sustenance to the intellect. Because the intellect is the petila, is the wick which is lit through the fats of the body, and the essential way that the fats are, how do the fats survive? We understand how the wick survives, which is the brain. The brain is given strength, this intellect is given strength by the fats of the body. But how are the fats given strength? Through the breath, the lungs. Now that I'm going to explain how the lungs feed the fats of the body, give them energy so that they can rise to the mind, and then they give the energy to the wick, to the mind to be lit. So essentially it's the breath, the air, the lungs, give strength to the fats and the oils of the body. The oils and the fats of the body give strength to the intellect. That's the way it works. That's the structure. So now, how? Joe, continue. Ki.
wait. Oh, כי מלא כנפי רעה דנשיבין על ליבה הביא ליבה אוקיד כל גופה.
So that's the Aramaic. What did it say in the Zohar? If not for the lobes of the lung, which would blow upon the heart would burn up the entire body. The lungs are a fan which cool off the heart. The heart is a place of fire. It's very hot. If not for the lungs which protect and surround the heart like a cage, and they're fanning cool air upon it, the heart would burn up everything in flames. So now we understand how. So now the fats and the oils of the body are protected from the lungs. Okay.
וזה בחינת נר הדושם,
נר השם,
נשמת אדם שיקר כאו נר השם דהיינו הסקל הוא על ידי הנשימה שעל ידי הנשימה שהיא הרוח של קנה האריה אזי האריה מנשב על הלב ומקרד חמימות הלב ואזי מתקימין השמנים שבגוף ואינם נשרפים מחמימות הלב ואזי עולם השמנים אל האומך ומתקיים השכל שהוא נר השם הדולק על ידי השמנים שבגוף כנ"ל.
That's it. Chazak. So look what he says here now. This represents now the verse. The candle of Hashem is the soul of a person. That the essential way we elevate and sustain the candle of Hashem, which represents the intellect we said earlier. For the ner is like the wick. It's like the light, which is lit from the sechel, which is the wick. So now, the essential way to bring kiyum, to sustain the light, the candle of Hashem, which is the intellect, is through the neshima, is through the breath. Meaning through the breath, which is arichat ruach, the extended spirit of the lobes of the lung. Why the lungs are responsible for giving you ruach. The ruach is what the entire key to the piece here. The sigh, the ruach, the extended ruach that you get. That the lobes of the lung give this ruach, and then the ruach, the lungs blow upon the heart and cool off the heat of the heart. And now the fats and the oils of the body are able to be sustained, and they are not burnt from the heat of the heart. Then the fat and oils rise to the brain, and they sustain the intellect, which is the ner Hashem, the candle of Hashem, which is lit through the fats of the body. And this is this is all explained in lesson 60 of Likutei Moharan of how this entire structure works. So Joe, finish us off. One more line. I just read that. See right after the period?
Right after the period, here Vezehu Bechinat Ner Chanukah Shona Mikdekin Ner Shel Shemen Ze Bechinat Ner Adoshem Vechu Vezehu Bechinat Koach HaMishkat Haruach Chaim Dehanu Arichat HaNeshama Shel HaTzadik Ki Hidlachat HaNer בחינת נר הדושם זהו בחינת ארוחת הנשמה כי על ידי ארוחת הנשמה דולך נר הדושם כנ"ל ועל ידי ארוחת הנשמה של הצדיק אנו עומדים כנגד הרשעים כנ"ל.
So this is the ner Chanukah that we light, the candle of oil. This is the ner Hashem. The ner Chanukah is ner Hashem, what we're talking about, the intellect. You're lighting up your intellect when you light up the Chanukah. This represents the strength of drawing down the Ruach Chaim, the spirit of life, which is the extended spirit of the Tzadik, because from him that all the spirit is distributed. Because now, when you draw the Ruach Chaim, the Arichat HaNeshima of the Tzadik, the extended breath of the Tzadik, down to the world, now we see this, that what? We see that what the candle, the ner Hashem, the candle of Hashem, this is the arichat neshima, the extended breath. Because it's through the extended breath that the candle is lit, as we saw earlier. The lobes of the lung fan the heart so that the heart did not burn the oil of the body. Now the oil can go up and create its light. But it's only thanks to the lungs, because if the lungs were not there, the breath was not there, nothing else would be able to be lit. So now the ruach of the arichat neshima shel Tzadik, it's thanks to the extended breath of the Tzadik, the extended ruach of the Tzadik, that now we are able to stand against the Reshaim and subdue the Reshaim face on. So now we are able to beat the Yavan of today, the Greeks of today, the evil kingship of today, thanks to the Tzadik, who's constantly standing there and extending his ruach to each and every one of his students or those who are attached to him, or anybody who's lighting the Chanukah, because when you light the Chanukah, you're essentially doing this act. Whether you know it or you don't, you're doing it. But now you understand the kavanah behind why we do it. Now we understand. La'adik ner Chanukah rashi tevot nachal. When we say la'adik ner Chanukah, the bracha, take the first letters, it spells out the word nachal, which is one of the names of Hashem actually. One of the names of Hashem. As it's brought down in the Shem Yichud, it's one of the names of Hashem Yibach, but it also represents the supernal nachal, the supernal stream, which is what? The nachal from which we purify all our sins. The nachal, Rabbeinu says, Ani nahar ha-metehar mikol haktamim. I'm the river, the stream which purifies everyone from stains. The tzaddik. For the tzaddik, he's the nachal. Now we understand what the inyan is. So, we see here that the koach of the tzaddik is able to stand against the reshaim, and that's what gives us the strength to be able to defeat wickedness in the world, to be able to draw down light, to be able to subdue reshut in the world. That means your own personal wickedness also. Anytime you receive personal strength from a wicked act, God forbid, or your personal wickedness, your desire to do something evil, it cuts it off immediately. Cuts it off. Because the tzaddik is sur mera, he's removed from evil. So when you attach yourself to someone who's removed from evil, all your evil elements are also subdued. Mamash. Vayu enecha ra'ot et morecha, Rabbeinu says. Enecha ra'ot et morecha, rashi tevot, esh ruach mayim afar also. We said earlier, right? Mashpir reshaim ad haaretz. Subdues the reshaim till the earth. We said the first letters spell out esh ruach mayim afar. But also, vayu enecha ra'ot et morecha, your eyes shall lay upon your teacher. Your eyes shall see your teacher. Ra'ot et morecha, seeing your teacher. Enecha ra'ot et morecha, take the first letters. Enecha ayin, afar. Ra'ot resh, ruach. Et, aleph is esh. And morecha is mine, water. When you lay eyes upon your teacher, when you see the tzaddik, all your evil elements which stem from the four, all your evil desires which stem from the four elements are also subdued. Oh. Just by looking at the tzaddik. That's why Rabbeinu says, happy is the person who exchanges glances with the tzaddik. If the tzaddik looks back at you, you're in good hands.
And that's studying for us in our daily.
Exactly. Exactly. When you study and you pay attention to the teaching of the tzaddik and you put your force in the tzaddik's going to put force back in you. You'll see it. The tzaddik's going to infuse you with emunah, with emet, with Torah, with tefillah, with all the things, bodalut, chatzon, everything. And that's when you're going to start seeing how you are a vessel for the tzaddik. Is that a good pausing area?
Thank you.
Yeah? Joe, great to see you, bro.
Tzadik.
Okay, I think it's cut it off.
I just keep running it. I just have to be somewhere else.
Love you, bro. Chazak. Thanks for coming, bro.
See you soon.
Bezrat Hashem.
See you.
Nice meeting
So
you.
what about Chanukah Sameach, bro?
Yeah, thank you.
What's the verdict here?
Bounce too.
Are you gonna help?
I have to go like
Yeah, bro.
Good to see you. Thanks, man.
Yes, bro.
Good seeing you, man.
Where do you guys stand?
I had to say that I'm master.
See you.
We saw you at the bar?
Hmm?
Minari?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I was like, I saw you somewhere.
saw each
I
other
was like, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Ruben.
Ruben.
Should we continue or should we stop?
My friend is gonna come in 5 minutes, but.
Okay, 5 minutes. Let's go. Let's rip 5 minutes. We go as quickly as we can.
Sandwich will be open 5. We could.
Don't worry, bro. The sandwich is gonna be made for you from Rabbeinu himself, bro.
Oh, no.
Look at this. Okay.
If he makes me a sandwich, to shoot more.
אוקיי, וזהו בחינת הנס של חנוכה. תשאלו לי? וזהו בחינת הנס של חנוכה.
וזהו ברינת הנס של חנוכה, כי מלכות יוון הרשעה תטמאו כל השמנים ומצאו צלורית של שמן שהיה חתום ברותמו של כהן גדול.
So this is the Nes of Chanukah for the Malchut Yavan Aresha, the evil Greek kinship. They impurified, they made impure all the oils, but they found one jug that was still kadosh. Okay, with the chotam of the seal of the Kohen Gadol. Exactement, with the seal. Tampon, ouais, exactement, the seal.
ולא היה בו להדליק רק יום אחד, ונעשה נס ודלק 8 ימים וכו'.
Exactement. Yeah,
the miracle, like the oil just usually
it could be lit for one.
And
It lasted for 8.
It lasts for 8, yeah, exactly. כי מלכות הרשעה כשמתגברים על ידי עריכת הרוח שלהם שהיא ברינת רוח שערה וכו'.
So what does that mean? Because the Malchut Haresha, the evil kingship, when they use their strength to overpower the Kedusha, how do they do it? Through the Ruach of the Rav of the Klippa. So when they do that, from the Ruach of the Rav of the Klippa, sorry. This represents the evil storm wind. The storm, Rabbeinu teaches us that the Klippa, the Rav of the Klippa, it has a koach called, what we call the Ruach Se'ara, the storm wind. As we know that Esav, who's Ish Sa'ir, he's a hairy man, but Sa'ir, it also sounds like the word Se'ara, storm. That the Rav of the Klippa, Esav, he has a koach to be able to create a Se'ara storm that nobody can get near. And that's why you cannot provoke the Rasha when he's in a storm.
Okay.
When you see a Rasha prospers, stand back and wait for his time to end. Because there's a time, a moment when he's going to end, and that's when you can strike. That's what Rabbeinu was saying.
אזי הם מטמאים כל השמנים שבגוף, כי עיקר קיום השמנים שבגוף.
הוא? על ידי?
על ידי עריכת הנשימה, ועל כן כשהנשימה היא מן הקדושה, אזי כל השמנים שבגוף קודש, ולהפך כשמתגבר חס ושלום הרוח והנשימה דקליפה, אזי הם מטמאים חם ושלום כל השמנים שבגוף שקיומם על ידי הנשימה כנ"ל.
So now, when the Ruach Se'ara is present, they make impure all the oils of the body. What's the oil that they made impure in the Beit HaMikdash? All the oils of the body. That's what we're talking about here. Rabbeinu was saying. When they found one jug of oil, they found one drop of Kedusha within the oils of the body that could light the ner, which is the Sechel. That's now Rabbi Natan's explaining Likutei Halachot now, the Chanukah. What are you essentially trying to do? Use the oils of the body, which stem from the Kedusha of how you use your breath. Or if you're Sefer Kedusha for Tumah, God forbid, if you use your Sefer Kedusha, then your oils of your body are Kadosh. And then if your oils of your body are Kadosh, you can light up your Dat. When you pray to Hashem Yitbarach, Chonen Adat, what are we talking about here? That Hashem Yitbarach grants you Dat, but how do you grant that? To your Arichut HaNishima. Where's your Ruach coming from, the Tzadik or the Klippa? If you're sighing and breathing for Kedusha, that you're sweating and you're running to the mikveh and now your breath is for Kedusha, then that's good, because now you're going to receive a kiyum of the Shmanim B'guf. The oil of the body are going to receive sustenance, so now they can supply its shefa to the sechel, to the mind. Now that mind's going to be used for Kedusha, Avodat Hashem, your neshama is going to be strengthened, etc., etc., etc. That's how you light the Chanukah, Rabbi Nathan saying. How do you light the Chanukah? By protecting your breath, by protecting your ruach, ensuring that your ruach comes from the Tzadik Emet, Tzadik Amor. If you do that, you're lighting the Chanukah year round. Literally. That's the chidush Rabbi Nathan saying. When you study Likutei Halachot, you understand how you can do all the mitzvot of which he's talking about anytime, without the time limit. Because the entire idea of Chanukah now, we are understanding, is to light up the sechel, which is the Ner Hashem. But how do you do that is through the arichut neshima, the extended breath, which are the lungs. So by protecting the lungs, which is what Rabbeinu is explaining here, now by sign for kedusha, for holy purposes, you allow your sechel to be lit. So now this is what he says here.
כי בעריכת,
Yeah, exactly.
כי בעריכת הנשימה שלהם הם בולעים ממש את מי שאינו צדיק גמור, בברינת צדיק ממנו בולע.
Right, so what did he say? Through the extended ruach of in this case of the ruach sarav, the rasha, he swallows up the tzaddik. So what happens? He swallows up a tzaddik, but not a tzaddik gamor. And it says tzaddik mimeno boreh. He swallows up a tzaddik bigger than him. But it's in the Gemara, but not tzaddik gamor, but not tzaddik gamor. Meaning even the tzaddik gamor enters in the storm wind and he's not phased. Meaning that's why the tzaddik gamor can go to that place, because even in the storm wind when the rasha has force, he can still go down there and subdue and destroy the entire structure.
ועל כן הם מטמאים חס ושלום כל השמנים שבגוף שהם השמנים של השכל על ידי שמתגבר חס ושלום על ידי הרוח והנשמה שלהם.
So through this, they make impure all the oils of the body, which are the oils of the intellect. How? That they use their ruach, their neshima, to destroy and to impurify all the oils of the body. I'll just finish up the line. And therefore, when the Malchut Bet Chashmonaim, the Chashmonaim were successful.
Tu m'envoies
Ouais, exactement. Of course.
4 heures, quelle heure
Tu viens quand tu veux.
Non mais
avant la Sina.
Ouais,
je pars à 4h15. Alors viens avant.
De toute façon, je te vois un petit message.
Ouais.
Exactement.
Okay. Alors je te vois après.
Allez, bye.
So what did he say? When the Chashmonaim were victorious, they found a jug of oil. Meaning what they find? They found the strength in which enabled them to destroy the evil kingship. So what they find? The essential strength from which they were able to overpower the wicked kingship. They used the strength of the tzaddik. They understood. Meaning the extended breath of holiness which you receive from the tzaddik. They understood this. And they understood that the only way to subdue the klipa of Malchut Yavan was through the koach of the tzaddik, which is the extended breath of the tzaddik. And now we understand the oils of the intellect are not kadosh through the tzaddik. Because now no longer the oils of the body are made impure by the arichut ruach of the evil side. The evil side no longer has a koach or an ability to inflict evil upon the oils of the body anymore. So the one jug of oil that they found with the chotam of the Kohen Gadol, who's the tzaddik, they understood that now there's still place that the kedusha, the sechel, still is there through the oils of the body.
So in this understanding of what the story is, right? With being you're.
So
context.
Yeah, I'm doing Avit.
Okay.
I want to eat. You guys done eat after?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay, see you guys soon.
What were you saying?
So in this context of this whole oil thing and that being impure, and their inner oils becoming impure, then how does this miracle of 1 day to 8 days?
What's the significance you're asking of why 1 to 8?
If it's not well, this probably happened literally all
for sure happened physical
on a sort of on this sort of plane.
On the got it.
That's understanding what you're saying. What's the significance of 1 day?
Right.
Let's see 1 sec.
It's a very long extended sigh. 8 days.
He explains it after. I mean, Nathan explains it in like the next section. The next section he explains it.
It's a little hefty.
Actually, no, we're actually almost there.
Let me just get to it.
So look. שעל ידו השמנים של השכל קודש. בכהן גדול זה מבחינת הרב דקדושה, בכהן גדול, he's the holy Rav. And we know the seal was with the Kohen Gadol. כי הוא גדול מאחיו בחינת רב. He is greater than all the other brothers, meaning what? He's the aspect of the Rav to them. וכמו שכתוב, כי שפתי כהן ישמרו דעת ותורה ויבקשו מפיהו. For the lips of the Kohen, they guard that, and you shall seek Torah from his mouth. Meaning the Kohen Gadol, he's the aspect of the Rav. That you have to seek Torah from him. אם הרב דומה למלאך השם צבקות וכו'. And it says over there, if the Rav looks like, it appears to be like an angel of Hashem, then seek Torah from his mouth. If not, then... נמצא, שכהן הוא בחינת רב, we see the Kohen is the Rav Chesed. He's represented Rav Chesed, abundant kindness. Rav Chesed, Gematria, I think Rabbeinu teaches us this. Mordechai. You want to do the calculation?
Oh, that's here, yes.
Okay, Mordechai, Mem, 40, Resh, 200, Daled, 4, so 244. Chav, 20, 264, Yud, 274. Rav Chesed. Rav, 202, Chesed, 72. 274. And what did we say Mordechai was?
274.
Rav Chesed, Mordechai, Rabbeinu says.
He said Mordechai and Chesed are equal. That's the original.
Mordechai and Rav Chesed, yeah, because Mordechai was the Tzadik of his
Mordechai and Rav Chesed.
Rav Chesed. Meaning that Midav ve'Rav Chesed ve'emet. 13 Midot HaChachamim. He's abundant in kindness. What we're talking about here is that the Tzadik, the Kohen Gadol, he's Rav Chesed. We know that the Midav, the Kohen Gadol, is Chesed. He's white, and the Levi'im are Gvura. So, what does Rabbeinu say? Ish Chesed. Kohen who's Ish Chesed. Kohen is the man of Chesed, as is brought down in the Zohar Kadosh. וזהו שמצאו שמן שהיה חתום בחותמו של הכהן גדול, שמן של קודש השכל הנמשך, I'm going to read through it quickly, הנמשך על ידי אריכות הנשימה של הצדיק שהיא בכלל כהן גדול, שהיה חתום בחותמו, דהיינו שהיה חתום בקדושה בלי מגע זר, כי הצדיק הוא כולו טוב ואין נערה שום אחיזה בו. They found one jug of oil sealed with the כהן גדול. Why? Because the כהן גדול represents צדיק גמור. He has no imprint of evil on him. And because he has no imprint of evil, why? Because he's separated all the good from the evil. So they found a jug with the chotam of the Kohen Gadol. When there's a chotam of the Kohen Gadol, it's completely kadosh. So what they understand? They understood that evil has no grasp on it. They knew that the Malchut HaResha'a, the evil kingship, didn't have the ability to inflict evil on that one jug. Why? Because of the chotam of the Kohen Gadol. And if it was another Kohen Hetiot, then yes. But because it was the chotam of the Kohen Gadol is complete Tzadik Gamur. He's the ultimate Rav. He's the Tzadik HaEmet.
Matityahu is a Kohen Gadol?
Exactly. Matityahu Kohen Gadol, he represents Tzadik Gamur of his time. And therefore, if it's with the chotam of the Kohen Gadol, they understood that there was still enough strength to subdue the Reshiut in the world. Just through one jug. Imagine how many other jugs of oil they had that were impure. One jug of the Kohen Gadol. Why? Because it has the Kohen Gadol's mark on it. And because the Kohen Gadol is the Tzadik Gamur, ki Tzadik Gamur eno bolea. It says what? The Rasha Tzadik mimeno bolea. The Rasha swallows the Tzadik bigger than him, but Tzadik Gamur he does not swallow. ועל זה הכוח של הצדיק, דנו אחד הנשמע של הצדיק שזהו בחינת קודש שם הקודש, על זה מתגברים כנגד מלאכות הרשעה. Through this you subdue or you overpower and you get strength against the evil kingship through the extended spirit and ruach of the tzaddik. And with this we have the strength to go into the evil midah of the rasha, to subdue it, and through this we subdue the rasha. Now the tzaddik gamur has his ability to enter the klipa and to subdue the rasha. And now this is where we're talking about, Eric. This is where it's the what do you call it? The 7 and the continue a little bit.
Yeah, let's not stop here.
Okay. וזהו. לא היה בו אלא... Eric, you want to read?
I don't know where we are.
We're trying to find it.
Oh, here.
You just continue in the meantime. Once we catch up, I can take over.
Huh?
I can take over once you find it.
Okay. וזהו, ולא היה בו אלא להדליק יום אחד ונעשה נס ודלק שלו עננים. And this is the miracle that it only had enough for one day and it lived for 8. כי טוב הצדיק, for the tzaddik is good. הוא בחינת כולו טוב, he represents that which is entirely good. וכולו טוב זה בחינת יום אחד. And that which is entirely good represents one day. Why one day? כמו שכתוב אצלנו בראשית, ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום אחד. And it was evening and it was morning, one day, יום אחד. ופרש רש"י שהיה הקדוש ברוך הוא יחיד בעולמו, אפילו מלאכים לא נבראו עדיין וכו'. And what does Rashi say? That ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום אחד, at that point, Hashem Yitbarach was only one in the world, and even the angels weren't created by that. So there was only one person in the world. You can't find it?
We put up a good fight. We had it, no we didn't.
We'll get it.
I saw the
Yeah, right.
We were reading it.
Yeah, right there.
We were actually
ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום אחד. You see the verse right there in the middle? Here, I'll show it to you.
It was awful.
Here, just use my phone.
We were real close.
Here.
Just take the phone.
Here. ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום אחד, right there. Oh, my bad. It's close enough.
That's what
Okay.
I had, and we lost it.
Okay, I'll just finish off the phrase, then you'll translate. So why is the tzaddik one day? It represents one day. We had enough oil to light for one day. The tzaddik represents one day. Because the tzaddik is tov. And what's tov? Good. So now, Vahi erev vahi boker yom echad. It was evening, it was morning, it was one day. What did Rashi say? That Hashem Yitbarach was the only one who existed in the world. Even the malachim had not yet been created. And Yachid be'olamo, Hashem, of course, is good, he's one. And that is the idea of yom echad, one day, being good. Sorry, I'll finish up with the sentence. When Hashem Yitbarach is one in the world, meaning before creation, this is meaning what? Kulotov, everything is good. Kishamu Kulotov Vaday, because of course, I mean, I can say that of course it's certainly good if it's Hashem, only Hashem. So now.
Me?
Yeah.
אך עיקר התכלית הוא כשאחרי
Havaya.
ההוויה. So the
Do one more line and you'll see how it connects.
כשיש הוויה בעולם,
Daz.
ואז יש אחיזה להרע.
So now.
How?
However, yeah, exactly. However, the tachlit is.
However, the tachlit is what's havaya?
Sha'acharei havaya, meaning after existence.
After existence.
And now in parentheses.
Havaya's existence?
Havaya means existence, yeah.
I've never even seen that word, but that's cool.
Now that there's like existence in the world.
Uh-huh.
Now there is what's achiza? Strength.
Yeah, exactly.
Strength for the evil.
Meaning, once there's existence, evil now has grasp.
Okay.
This is before creation we're talking about. Yom Echad is before creation. Before anything existed in the world. Before the angels. So Hashem Yitbarach is good. This is Yom Shekulotov. It's one day, it's good. Hashem Yitbarach is the only one that exists. But the second Hashem creates existence on the world, then there's a place for evil. So now Rabbi Nathan's going to explain.
כשמברין ומוציאין הטוב מן הרע ונתהפך רע לטוב. Once you separate and take out the good from the bad, it flips the bad to good. ואז נתגלה מלכותו בכל העולמות, אפילו בעולמות התחתונים. And then you reveal the kingship in all the worlds, even in the lower worlds.
Exactly.
ומלכותו בכל משלה, the concept of his kingship in all. What's משלה?
He rules over everything with his kingship. מלכותו בכל משלה.
זהו עיקר התכלית בשלמות. This is like the main תכלית and the completion. שבשביל זה הייתה כוונת הבריאה כידוע. Because of this was like the intention of creation, as we know. ואז אחר ההוויה כשמעלין הטוב מן הרע. And then after he created existence, that brings up the good from the bad.
שמעלין הטוב מן הרע.
אז זה נעשה שם שלם. Then you create a complete name.
So now the 8th is going to come into play right now.
What does that mean?
Kiviyachol meaning as if we can say something. Meaning.
It's like metaphorically speaking.
Exactly. Meaning create a complete name. Isn't God complete already? But it's as if to say that we perfect it, in a sense. If we can say such a thing. I mean, I'm saying. Rabbi Natan.
B'chinat Hashem echad u'shmo echad. The concept of Hashem is one, His name is one.
Meaning Yud Kei Vav Kei and Elokim now.
Right.
So now Rabbi Natan's going to explain. Or Yud Kei Vav Kei Adnut. Aleph, Dalet, and Nun. And so, real quick.
Shu b'chinat Shmona Yamim. This is the concept of 8 days. B'chinat Shmona Otiyot Shel Shnei Shemot.
Yud, Aleph, Kei, Dalet, Vav, and Nun, and then Hey, and then Yud. Meaning, the Kavanah, when you say Yud Kei Vav Kei, has to always be with those 8 letters.
It's like,
Yeah, meaning when you look at it, most Sidurim it's printed like that. A lot of other Sidurim don't have it printed. It's a shame. It's good to look when you look at the name Yud Kei Vav Kei in Tefillah anywhere, that you always pair the Yud with the Aleph, the Hey with the Dalet, the Vav, and the Nun.
That's why some Sidorim have like a longer.
Exactly. And then you have the Haya, the Kavanah of Yud Kei Vav Kei according to Shulchan Aruch. It's a good Kavanah to have because Rabbi Natan's saying now that when the entire purpose of creation was that so after existence you can redeem the Kedusha from the Klippa.
so since this is 8 letters and this is that His name is one, this 8 is really one.
Exactly. So now look what this represents what Shmona Yamim 8 days of Chanukah, which represents the 8 letters of the two names Yud Kei Vav Kei and Shem and Yud, which is where all the kavanot. Az tikra v'ani yana, it says, then you shall call and I will answer. Az gematria 8. Why? Because when you call with this kavanah, to Hashem Yitbarach, Yud Aleph and then Hey, then he answers. Meaning the kavanah of Yud Kei Vav Kei has to be paired with Shem and Yud because it's not perfected unless we put both of them together with this 8. Then it becomes one. Hashem echad u'shmo echad is the same kavanah in Shema Yisrael. Meaning the aspect of the main kavanah is like this, in simplicity. Midat HaRachamim, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei, and Midat HaDin, which is Elokim or Shem Adnut, is one.
It's also like what you're saying about the existence thing, like the like Yud Kei Vav Kei, isn't really like that need like it's not like an actual thing, you know what I mean? Because like you can't like say it, you can't do anything. So it's just like kind of like a potential. The other one's like
nice.
So one's like the existence.
And it's nice also because it's beautiful because Yud Kei Vav Kei comes from the word Havaya. Haya Hoveh V'Hiyeh. Existence, meaning the name Yud Kei Vav Kei has koach because of the fact that we bring it into existence.
Wait, recaps were saying the 8 is corresponding to the aspect of Havaya.
Havaya and Aleph, Dalet, and Nun and Yud. The other name, meaning Rachamim, kindness, and Din. Yeah, meaning when they both come out together, you have 8 letters. That's the kavanah. When you do, by the way, in the Amidah, good kavanah to have. When the 4 times you bow in the Amidah, except for Modim, the first 2 brachot, the first, whenever you say Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu Elokeinu Elokei Avotenu Elokei Avraham Elokei Yitzchak Elokei Yaakov, the first Baruch Atah Hashem of the Amidah, you're supposed to have the kavanah that you're combining Yud, the letters Yud, and the letter Aleph. The second time you bow is Magen Avraham, right? At the end of the bracha. Baruch Atah Hashem Magen Avraham. At that, you're supposed to combine the Hey and the Dalet. The Vav and the Nun. Sorry, at Modim.
Okay.
At Modim, the Vav and the Nun. And in the last Hey and the last Yud, at Tov Shimcha V'Chana Eleodot. The 4 times you bow in the Amidah represent the 4 times you're combining those names. So you see how the kavanah is all playing throughout the Amidah. The Kavanah of the Arizal goes really deep into this, but Rabbi Natan is explaining this now with Tachlit, with Chanukah, how this operates.
Yeah. Okay.
Vezeu.
זהו תכלית האחדות כשהתגלה ייחודו ואחדותו יתברך בכל העולמות התחתונים. This is the what's tachlit? Like what's like a
The purpose. This is the final goal.
This is the purpose of the unification and revelation.
Or Achdut of one God's oneness. This is the purpose of Hashem's oneness. What is Trinity?
Is what, like reveal? It reveals his oneness and his unity, holy unity in all the lower worlds. Afilu ba'omek hara, even in the depths of evil. Shekulam ya'adun ya'gidun ki Hashem echad u'shmo echad. And everyone will know and will speak and say that Hashem is one and His name is one. Ki mitapech hara latov al tzadikim shebechol dor. Because we will flip the good, the bad to good, because of the tzadikim in every generation. Ze v'chinat v'naaseh nes v'dalak shmona yamim. This is the concept of, and he made a miracle, and we lived for 8 days. Lashon harim nisi.
Harim nisi. I will lift up my miracle, or nisi.
היינו על ידי שמרימים מדרגות התחתונות אל הקדושה.
על ידי.
Like that we lift, we like raise the levels, the lower levels to kedusha.
Meaning by bringing those lower places, the klipot, to kedusha, to the side of holiness. Al yedei shemarin atov minara. How do we do that? Through mevarin atov minara.
Like separating the good from the evil. שזהו מעיקר הנס של חנוכה ירד לתוך הרע של הרשע להכניעו ולשברו. This is like the main like point of the miracle of Chanukah, to go down inside the evil of the Russia, to like break it. ואז מוציאים משם כל הניצוצות, and then we take out all the sparks from there. Sorry, is that right?
Exactly.
הקדושה וכל הטוב שהיה שם, the holiness and all the good that was there. ואזי נעשה בחינת 8 ימים. And then we make this concept of the 8 days. בחינת השם אחד לשמו אחד, the concept of Hashem is one, his name is one. כנ"ל, כי עולה הטוב מן 4 יסודות מתחבר בשורשו. Because we raise the good from these 4 elements, and we like separate it at its source.
Or מתחבר. We join them together בשורשו.
Join them together at their source. שהוא בחינת 4 אותיות. Are you able to say that?
Yeah, about Yud Havaya, yeah. When you say, instead of saying the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, when you're studying about it, we say Shem Havaya or Shem Adnut.
Okay.
Meaning, Havaya is just a reference to Yud Kei Vav Kei.
Okay.
So, essentially here, the source of the 4 elements are the letters Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud Kei Vav Kei are the source from which stems the 4 elements.
Okay. ואז נתייחד שמו יתברך, and then we join, was that? Yeah, join is his holy name, בחינת השם אחד ושמו אחד, שהוא בחינת 8 אותיות, it's the concept of the 8 letters, בחינת 8 ימים, the concept of the 8 days.
And this all connects Yemei Milah, days of Milah, 8 days. Nothing goes into that type, so it's really deep. It goes very, very far. You know.
Yeah.
It's deep stuff.
It is very interesting.
Okay, we stop here? Let's stop.
No, I think we continue.